Welcome to Reading the Bible with Andre. We will continue in the first book of Genesis, and we'll continue on verse 14. Then God said, "Let bright lights appear in the sky to give light to the earth and to identify the day and the night. They shall bring about the seasons on the earth and mark the days and years." And so it was. For God had made two huge lights, the sun and moon, to shine down upon the earth, the larger one the sun, to preside over the day, and the smaller one, the moon, to preside through the night. He also made the stars, and God set them in the sky to light the earth, and to preside over the day and night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God was pleased. This all happened on the fourth day. Then God said, "Let the waters teem with fish and other life, and let the skies be filled with birds of every kind." So God created great sea animals and every sort of fish and every kind of bird. And God looked at them with pleasure and blessed them all. "Multiply and stock the ocean," he told them. And to the birds he said, "Let your numbers increase, fill the earth." That ended the fifth day. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth every kind of animal, cattle, and reptile, and wildlife of every kind." And so it was. God had made all sorts of wild animals and cattle and reptiles, and God was pleased with what he had done. Then God said, "Let us make a man, someone like ourselves, to be the master of all life upon the earth and in the skies and in the seas." So God made man like his maker. Like God did God make man. Man and maid did he make them. And God blessed them and told them, "Multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. You are the masters of the fish and birds and all the animals. And look, I have given you seed-bearing plants throughout the earth and all the fruit trees for your food. And I have given all the grass and plants to the animals, and birds for their food." Then God looked over all that he had made, and it was excellent in every way. This ended the sixth day. Chapter 2. Now at last the heavens and earth were successfully completed with all they contained. So on the seventh day, having finished his task, God created from this work he had been doing. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because it was the day when he ceased this work of creation. Here is a summary of events in the creation of the heavens and earth, when the Lord God made them. There were no plants or grains sprouting up the earth at first, for the Lord God hadn't sent any rain, nor was there anyone to farm the soil. However, water welled up from the ground at certain places and flowed across the land. The time came when the Lord God formed a man's body from the dust of the ground and breathed into it the breath of life, and man became a living person. Then the Lord God planted a garden in Eden to the east and placed in the garden the man he had formed. The Lord God planted all sorts of beautiful trees there in the garden. Trees produced the choicest of fruits. At the center of the garden he placed the tree of life, and also the tree of conscience, giving knowledge of good and bad. A river from the land of Eden flowed through the garden to water it. Afterwards, the river divided into 4 branches. One of these was named Pison. It winds across the entire length of the land of Havilah, where nuggets of pure gold are found, also beautiful bdellium, and even lapis lazuli. The second branch is called the Gihon, crossing the entire land of Cush. The third branch is the Tigris, which flows to the east of the city of Asher, and the fourth is Euphrates. The Lord God placed the man in the Garden of Eden as its gardener to tend and care for it. But the Lord God gave the man this warning: you may eat any fruit in the garden except fruit from the tree of conscience, for its fruit will open your eyes to make you aware of right and wrong, good and bad. If you eat its fruit, you will be doomed to die. And the Lord God said, it isn't good for a man to be alone. I will make a companion for him, a helper suited to his needs. So the Lord God formed from the soil every kind of animal and bird, brought them to the man to see what he could call them. And whatever he called them, that was their name. But still, there was no proper helper for the man. Then the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep, and took one of his ribs and closed up the place from which he had removed it, and made the rib into a woman and brought her to man. This is it, Adam exclaimed. She is part of my own bone and flesh. Her name is woman, because she was taken out of a man. This explaining why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife in such a way that the two become one person. Now, although the man and his wife were both naked, neither of them was embarrassed or ashamed. End of chapter 2 of Genesis. So, lots of things to cover as we began in the first chapter of Genesis, verse 14, and worked our way all the way through chapter 2. As God did a lot of work. It's quite amazing as we go back and just talking about all the different trees and the animals and the cattle and everything flowing in the waters and dividing the light from darkness and things of that nature. Kind of makes me think of when I lived in Florida with all the animals and the sea life and creatures and everything. So it's pretty amazing how all that stuff was there, and there was still no sin in the world, so everything flowed and was safe. So you didn't even have to worry about any of the wild animals doing anything to anybody, because they weren't really wild. They were just more tamed, and everything was subdued because there was no sin and things were moving along pretty well at the time. It's ironic how everything was so perfect, but yet Adam still had a void and needed company. As he observed, all the other creatures had a partner in some way, and Adam had that void, which I always find very interesting, that he had this void even though he was in a perfect world. But then, of course, God put him to sleep, took his rib, and made woman. That's why we have the word man in the word woman, because she came from men. So it's pretty interesting to watch how that all came about, and to this day why man and woman long to be with each other, because I think the man is just trying to get the rib back in his own kind of way. But it's all pretty interesting to watch the whole creation of life and watch everything flow, and God makes everything with such an order. That's why I find it hard to believe when people don't believe that there is a God, because everything is just so well laid out and there's such an order with the way everything is created and a consistency that you know that somebody had to have their hand in it, and it wasn't just a random set of events that took place. But we'll delve a little deeper into that next time. But a lot of very fascinating stuff in this beginning parts here with Genesis, and as things just kind of begin to grow and come about. So it's all very interesting. So we will continue this in chapter 3 of Genesis, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and you can also subscribe to our channel here. This is coming to you on Dre TV 2012. You can subscribe to this and watch, and continue to follow the Reading the Bible with Andre. So, all right, look forward to joining you next time, and have a great day. Thank you for watching.